And what a pleasure to welcome in Jeff Bacon, the commissioner of the Atlantic Sun Conference, which has very big news. First of all, welcome aboard. How are you?
Thanks, fellas. I'm doing great. It's been a really exciting day here. I'm happy to cap it off with all of you.
Yeah. So, and I'm going to get to the tournament here in a minute. Okay.
Yep.
But let me start with you for a second. The league office moved here.
It did.
How did that all come about, Jeff? How did we look up at, which was cool for us. We have two schools here. We're very close to the schools. We do a lot of shows from both schools, so it's a big deal to us. How did that all happen?
It's cool for us, too. You know, I got this job not even 2 years ago, so I'm still a little bit of a rookie here. But one of the first things we identified with our presidents, and by the way, right, college athletics is run by university presidents still,
right.
Is we really needed to find a home that was more accessible for our membership and for us as a staff. So we were in Atlanta, Georgia at the time, and not a lot of members around there. So we had to find a place that we could be closer to some members, access our coaches and our student athletes. And Jacksonville was a natural fit with two schools here and the sunshine and the beaches.
Perfect way to be.
Yeah.
Place to be.
Absolutely. And tell us about the big news, having the conference tournaments now here in Jacksonville at the arena.
Yeah, we're incredibly excited about that. I mean, a 2-year exhaustive process from start to finish to make sure we found the right home for us. So to announce today that we're moving our men's and our women's basketball tournaments to VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena here in Jax in 2026 is a culminating event of a heck of a lot of time, a heck of a lot of work, and we're just really convinced that we are in the right place. So we're excited.
Tell us a little bit about you said it was a long process.
Yeah.
Votes back and forth. Some people want the campuses. Was it Jacksonville versus other cities? I think Louisville was involved from what I'm told. Or was it more campus versus neutral site? Was it all of it?
It's all of it, right?
Yeah.
And you think about the layers of these kind of decisions, which are really important decisions. Do you want to be at a neutral site or do you want to be on campus? If you want to be at a neutral site, where do you want to be? What's the right city? What's the right venue? What's the right hotel situation? What's the right weather?
Yeah.
You know, how many teams can we get there? And that's another question. How many teams are we sending? Fortunately, we're sending all 12 of our institutions to the tournament, which I'm really excited about that as well. But all of those factors are deliberated at a really high level with our athletic directors and our presidents. They spend a ton of time on that. And do you have disagreements along the way? Of course you do, right? You've got 12 people in a room trying to agree on something. But what's spectacular about our conference, the Atlantic Sun, is our people are really well aligned. So landing where we landed was really not as difficult a decision as you might think. It just took us a heck of a long time to get there.
And I think it's great that all 12 are getting the trip because the current format, with it being, and it makes sense with it being home and home, 2 schools don't go at all, correct? And then you've got 4 schools that are playing a game on neither one of them, their courts. They're sort of at a neutral because they're going to be the road team in the final round. But what a fantastic opportunity, even for teams that haven't had the season that they hoped for, to have the chance to advance to the NCAA tournament, but also to have that reward of, okay, we're going to get to go to a city and have that experience.
Yeah, you said it really well, right? Our student athletes have something to look forward to. Even if you had a tough season, you got a last chance at the end of the year to turn it around or make some noise. So for them, it's exciting. I think for our fan bases, especially outside of Jacksonville, the opportunity to know you're going to Jacksonville in March. You may not know what day you're playing yet, but you know you're going. So you can plan, you can budget, you can look at flights, you can get down here. So that helps a lot. And everybody's going to be here. So we're going to really be able to celebrate Atlantic Sun basketball as a family, which is just awesome.
You worked at the MAC for 19 years. You were there a long time. That's the ultimate mid-major conference. It's the ultimate. I mean, it really is. And it's a very good conference.
Yep.
With that as your background, or a backdrop to the conversation, I suppose, tell me how you feel about the health of this league. You've been here a few years now. This league changes members a lot, which has been hard.
Yep.
How do you feel about what you've seen now that you've been able to oversee it for a while?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll even go back in time, Frank, a minute, because I was at a great place. I was at the MAC for 19 years and very happy with what I was doing there. And it was going to take, honestly, a special place to get me to pick up and move. I lived in Northeast Ohio for 45 years, never moved anywhere. So it was going to take a special place. And as I learned more about this conference, it didn't take long to recognize that that's exactly what this is. It's a special place. Yeah, there's been membership transition. That's true. That's a fact. But at the end of the day, that's happening other places too. We're not special here or different here. The MAC was probably the special or different place in terms of membership change, although now they're seeing that themselves. So it's everywhere. It's just a part of the industry right now. And that's not a scary thing to me. So that didn't preclude me from having interest in the job, obviously. And what I love about our schools is they may look a little bit different from each other on paper, but at the heart of what they do, the way they think about athletics, the way they think about their institutions, the rate that they're growing, their enrollments are going up, et cetera, they really look the same. And so for the last couple of years, we've just talked about the strength of this league. We talk about ourselves being the destination because we are in so many ways. Our states are growing, our cities are growing, our campuses are growing. People want to be here, right? And that's really brought us together. And so I love where we're at. I feel good about where we're at. And this announcement today with basketball, I think is just another step in the direction of solidifying our league, keeping our people together, giving us something to celebrate as a family, as I mentioned before. And those things are important when you think about membership.
Do you think you guys will stay at 12? Like, is that...
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, we're always... I like to say, I tell our coaches, membership for a commissioner is like the transfer portal for a basketball coach.
Yeah, I get it.
You're always in it, right? And so there's always something happening. So could we expand? I would say if the right opportunity were to come along that added value, that's what we talk about, right? We want to add value and folks that look and talk and feel like us, we would absolutely entertain that and explore it, but we're not out there hunting to grow.
My opinion, I never felt, and it's just one knucklehead's opinion, I never felt Liberty fit.
Yeah.
Their budget was so much different than everybody else's. But I get a hunch the 12 fit now. They fit each other. Is that a good read? Do you agree?
It's a great read. I think you're spot on. Yeah, it's a great read. I mean, you're talking about an institution that from a budget perspective alone was just so out of whack with the rest of the league, right? And now, do we have budget differences? Of course we do. Every league does. But our bandwidth has shrunk tremendously so that now if you look at our institutions on the P&L sheet, right, they look very similar.
What makes JU and UNF such a big member of the conference for you guys?
Well, one, they've been here for a while. You just talked about transition. So you talk about some members that have actually had a long, I think JU came in 98, and I want to say UNF in the mid-2000s. So they've been here for a long time. So they've been through the battles. They've seen the league change over those years. So having, especially the presidents at those two institutions, Moez Lamayam and Tim Kost are just two of the best in the world of higher education, honestly. And so what they've done with their universities is awesome. What they've done for the league has been tremendous. And they're great leaders for us moving forward. So to be here and have them in our backyard and have them as resources in the community. In fact, the role that both of those individuals played in bringing the tournament to Jacksonville should not be overlooked. President Kost and President Lamayam were instrumental in helping get the championships here.
I didn't know that. That's good. But I applaud you. Tim and Moaz are good friends of mine, so I have a high opinion of both of them.
Yeah,
and they're good dudes now. I mean, they're smart. They know what they're doing, and we're proud of both schools. How do you feel about, again, you were in a good league. How do you feel about the basketball in the league? I think it's a pretty good league. I mean, watching, and we go live from a lot of the games at both places. We're at UNF a lot, and our show is at UNF a lot and at JU a lot. So I think it's a pretty good league. I think this year it's a particularly good league.
I think it's a great league. I mean, I'll give you a couple quick hits here. One, go back and look at the non-conference W's that our league has racked up this year. I mean, ACC schools, Big East schools, Atlantic 10 schools, SEC schools. We're knocking those people off. And not just a one-off, on multiple occasions. The top of our league, the top half of our league in particular, is spectacular. You all saw how tight the race was this year in the tournament for the seeds. I mean, we've got 5-6 teams that could win this thing. And it's not because they're all just mediocre and the same. They're all really, really good basketball teams with an incredible amount of talent. We've got schools in our league that are transitioning. And they have a harder lift, right? You join Division I, West Georgia's in their first year Division I. It's going to take them some time to build. Queens, it's taken them some time, but look what they're doing in just year 3 of Division I. Here they are in our semifinals tomorrow night. So we've got a great top half of the league. We've got what I would consider or call a really growing quickly bottom half of the league that I expect to just get better and better. And I think our league stacks up against, outside of the powers that be. If you take the rest of the collegiate athletics world, Division I, I'd stack us up against anybody.
And I think when you look at it, it's reflected in these projections for the NCAA tournament where you see The ASUN champion is a 13 seed.
And deservedly so.
Yeah.
Deservedly so, right? And those brackets are usually pretty accurate, right?
Absolutely.
So let's tell the committee to pay attention to that.
It's also often a multi-bid league in baseball. I think people realize that it's not necessarily a one-bid league in baseball. We've seen JU 2 or 3 times, I think, since we've been doing the show, get to the NCAA tournament without winning the league.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've got a Cy Young Award winner out of this league in Chris Sale, right?
Yeah.
And that's just one of many examples.
Logan Gilbert's really good.
Unbelievable.
Former Stetson pitcher, yeah.
Unbelievable. So the baseball product here is spectacular. And it's not just baseball. Yeah. Softball here is spectacular, and I think has a chance to be a multi-bid sport for us. Volleyball, same deal. So we're pretty deep.
Jeff, let me change gears a little bit while we have you here. We ask coaches and ADs this all the time, but from the commissioner's chair, how do you feel about the House settlement? How do you feel about where college athletics are headed, and how will it affect the Atlantic Sun?
Well, I like to say I'm comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And some people aren't. And so the House settlement, for those that aren't comfortable being uncomfortable, has been a challenge. And we can talk about the rights, wrongs, and indifference within that. What I would say is it's here. So let's accept that and let's move on and let's figure out not only how to navigate it and deal with what comes along with that, but how do we take advantage of that? Where do we find opportunities? I mean, the reality is as we move forward now and institutions have what's called this opportunity to opt in. I don't love that language, but that's a whole other story. It's really participating in the sharing of benefits or not. But as they have this opportunity to share benefits with student athletes, where can we take advantage of that? How do we accelerate our brand? How do we accelerate our institutions? How do we out-recruit those that we want to out-recruit? So I like change. I think it's a good thing. It's definitely needed in college athletics today, let's face it, right? And I've been in this industry for 20 plus years. We need to change. So if this is helping force us to do that, I'm all about embracing it and the opportunity it's going to create for students moving forward.
What's your advice to members that are deciding whether to participate, opt-in, however you want to phrase it, this upcoming year?
Right now, today, I would say make the right decision for you. Evaluate your situation. Not everybody's the same, right? So take a really hard look at your campus and what your priorities are. You know, if you opt into the settlement, you have to accept new roster limits, which is going to mean student athletes are going to lose opportunities. If you have a sport that you have 70-some student athletes and you got to cut it to 48, that's a lot of students looking for a new home. So you have to evaluate that and how that impacts your campus and your community. So that would be one. And number two would be to have a mindset of eventually getting to that opt-in place if you can get there. Because I do think that's where Division I is headed as an entity. So if your sights and your aspirations are to be a Division I member moving forward, I think it would be wise to at some point put a plan in place to opt in. That might or might not be today.
That's an interesting answer because I think we're going to see both. I can't speak for the other 10, but I think you're going to see both JU and UNF not opt in the first year, but opt in by year 2. I think that's what's going to happen. I know both campuses. I think that's what they're both going to do. I'm wondering if that's what the others will do too.
I would say in our league, and this is my take on it. I'm not trying to speak on behalf of our institutions and the decisions that they make, but having had those conversations with them, you're going to see a good portion of our league opt in immediately this year.
Okay.
And I would say that everyone else has an eye on the future, just like I described.
Okay. So to get there eventually. That's the goal.
That's the general goal. Yep.
All right. Final thing. Lipscomb, Queens, JU, North Al, 4 good teams. Who's going to win?
Oh, you put the commissioner on the spot.
You got to ask the commissioner that, right? I mean, Lipscomb's really good. I would say Lipscomb, from my eye, is a hair better than the and then I think the other 3 are kind of lumped in there together. What do you think?
Lipscomb is the 1 seed for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? And as you just mentioned, if they're projected to be a 13 seed in the NCAA tournament right now, and that's for a reason. They're really darn good. They're senior-led. They've got our player of the year. They've got our coach of the year. And they're at home. They've got home court advantage on top of that. So to say they're not the favorite would be, probably not the most common answer. But I'll tell you what, North Alabama is a heck of a basketball team. Jakari Lane, their point guard. If you haven't watched North Alabama play yet, watch them play and watch Jakari Lane. And not just Jakari, they got a whole heck of a lot of talent on the team, but he is special. I think he put up 31 in the quarters, if I'm not mistaken. So an elite scorer and a really fun team. So they got a real shot at this thing. And Queens is a young up-and-comer with a couple really young, talented players. They got our defensive player of the year, man in the post down there, so you can't count them out. And then Jacksonville is just that team that is just tough and gritty and finds ways to win basketball games. They play good defense. And you got Rob McCray on your team, you got a shot. So I like all 4 of them. There's my commissioner answer for you.
By the way, that was a great answer. Hey, not your first rodeo, I can tell you that. And by the way, we're rooting for JU of the 4 teams that are left, and we saw Rob McCray take over the game the other night.
He can do it.
He took over the game.
He can do it.
We were there at the game.
Yeah, double.
Belated welcome to Jacksonville, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thank you for stopping by. It's great having you here, and
Thanks,
I'm excited not only about the league being here, but about the tournament as well. We appreciate you coming by.
Appreciate you guys.